Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. We're excited to have one of our very own development consultants, Rick Folkner, and Rick is going to be presenting on Introduction to Developing Enums in Business Central. And just as a reminder, we are recording this webinar, and we will post it to our on-demand webinar library for you to review again or share with anyone. And we encourage you to ask questions during our presentation, so please feel free to put those in the questions box, and we will answer them at the end of our session. So now I'm going to turn it over to Rick to kick off our presentation.
Hello, everybody. This is Rick. Today I'm going to go over developing with Enums, which basically Microsoft is they're replacing the option fields that used to be available, and they're replacing them with enums. And the main reasons they're doing this is that enums are going to be extendable, so you can actually like add on to them like through extensions, whereas option fields you couldn't. You always had to basically create like a new field in your extension and add the different options that you wanted in there. Another good thing about the enums are you can declare like a type of enum and then use that in multiple other tables, like say, for instance, the sales line has the type field. So you can basically create the sales line type, and then like any of your other tables that you might have, you could add that same field in there and have the exact same list of options. And the other good thing is with that you can use that in multiple spots, whereas before you used to have to set up the field and add the same exact options in each of the tables that you added the field to, and then if you went in and changed one of the options, then you'd have to go in and change it in any other tables that you had to match. Alrighty, so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to show you is just how to add a basic enum and add it to like an existing table and page. So the first thing we want to do is create our actual enum field. So what we would do is we would go into our VS Code program. We'd create a new object type of enum, and I use a little snippet thing that like fills in some of the stuff for you. So basically how you do it is you declare a enum. You have to give it a number, which is usually for clients, you usually use like the 50,000 range, but I think most people still do that. For instance, what I'm going to do is add like a new field to the item table, and say we're like working with some kind of woodworking project. I'm going to add a finish field that describes different finishes that the piece could have. So I'd call my enum finish, and then you usually have a parameter here that tells whether you can extend it or not, whether you want to allow people to, or other extensions to add on to your list. Most of the time you want to set this to true, but There might be some occasion that you would not want people to be able to extend your enum. So basically, you just go through and you give like each value a number and a name. So we want to have this one to be smooth. And we can add another one and have this one be sanded. And go down the list, a couple more. So once we got our list set up, then we can actually go add the field to the item card and item table. So we wanted to go down and add a new table extension. And you can call it item finish. And it extends the item table. And then we can simply add our field. We have to give that a number as well. Call it finish. And now we can declare it a enum of type finish that we just created. And we usually have to add this or else it complains about it. So we add our enum field to the item table, and we can go in and add it to a page extension. So we want to do item card, finish, make that a page extension. Give that a number. Have to give it a name. Wanted to extend the item card. And we can take that out. We don't need it. Then we want to add our field to this item card page. Oops. First, we got to tell it where we want to add it to. So for this one, we just want to add it to the items section. Then we can add our new field. New field is called finish. And then we have to, anytime we add a new field to a page, we have to usually specify the application area, which most of the time you just want it all. But you can change it so it only shows up under certain like logins and stuff, or like manufacturing or something like that. Now we also have to give it a new tool tip. So now we can save that. And so now if I run this, take a second. Hit log in. So now if we go to our items and say we go down to the desk or something like that, you can see we now have a new field called finish. And it's got our 4 options that we specified, so we can, change that or have it default. Usually a lot of people put a blank at the beginning so that it'll default to whatever the first item in the list is. And a lot of times you'd put a blank in there if you don't want to specify something, but we didn't do that. And then the next thing we can do is actually make an extension to an existing type. And for my example, I'm going to show you how to add on to the sales line type. Say you want to create a new type that isn't like item or a resource. And one of the things I can show you is the sales line type has its own enum set up, and it contains these 6 options. You got the GL account, item, resource, fixed asset, and charged item. So now what we want to do is we want to extend this and add a new type. We'll call it sample. So what we need to do is we need to create a enum extension. So we create a new file. Call it sales line type sample. And pick the extension snippet and it fills it out for us. And call the sales line type sample. And we want it to extend the enum of sales line type. So then basically now we just declare what we want to add to it. So we want to add another option and call it sample. And we'll save that. And then one other thing I'll show you, and it's sort of a little trick that Microsoft has for the sales line type. Because you might notice if I run this right now, it probably won't show up. And it's because Microsoft has the actual sales line type on the page is they're actually showing a different field. So if we go to like a sales order, and we go to type, you'll notice my new sample is not there. And I'll show you why real quick. If you go to the sales order subform, and we'd see like the first two fields on the page, there is the regular type, and then there is a second field called filtered type. And this is the one that's actually showing up. So what we want to do is change it so the regular type shows up. So in order to do that, I have to create another page extension. And I want to do sales order subform. Just call it demo. I gotta give it a new number. And I want to extend the sales order. Extend the sales order subform. Again, we don't need this. And basically what I want to do is I want to modify the type field. And the reason it's not showing up is because they don't have the application area set up. So we got to set that to all so you can always see it. And then we want to modify that filtered type field and set that to not be visible. So now if I save this and I run it again, so now if we go into a sales order, now the correct type should be showing there now, and now we have our sample. So that's how easily you can extend like a enum type, like this one's on the sales line. Normally what used to happen, there's a lot of code that runs off that sales line type, like in the posting routines and stuff like that. And you used to have to go through and modify a bunch of option types to add in these new options and stuff like that. And now you can just when you change it in one spot, it'll basically change it in all the spots, and then you can just go add in code to like run and maybe do something like, see if you had it to sample, you might want to blank out the price or something. You could do that pretty easily in an extension. So that's basically the reason why Microsoft is sort of phasing out the option field, and they're changing this new enum to make it more extensible, so it's like easily changed, and you don't have to change it in a bunch of spots in the code. And a lot of the code, you couldn't change it in extensions anyways. So that's basically why they're doing it. So I guess that is the end of my presentation. Kick it back to Angie for any questions.
Thanks, Rick. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead and get those into the questions panel, and we can get Rick to discuss them. All right, Rick, it doesn't look like we have any questions for you today. If you have questions later on and you would like to reach out to Rick, you may do so, or you can contact your customer engagement specialist here at Innovia, and we would be happy to discuss those questions with you. All right, well, thank you, Rick, for the presentation today. And for everybody who's on the webinar today, or if you're watching on demand, we thank you for taking the time out to join us. And we do have another upcoming webinar. Next Wednesday, we have one of our partners, ClickLearn, who will be presenting on digital adoption and user training in one solution with ClickLearn. And you can visit our website at enumeration.com/events for more events to register for. And we have new training workshops, and you can visit the enumeration.com/workshops page for more information and to register for the training workshop that fits your role. And don't forget to check out our Innovia Conversation podcast. Our hosts, Steve Woltz and Jeff Progolski, have provided a lot of content. You can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's enumeration.com/podcast. So browse the selection and subscribe so you'll get notified when those new episodes air. And we will be attending Dynamics Con in Anaheim, California next month. Be sure to stop by the Innovia room and talk to our team. You can check out our conference page at enumeration.com/conferences to learn more about our conferences and to register for our customer conference in May 2022. All right, well, we thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you soon on another Innovia webinar. Take care, everyone. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.